Hi, Matthew. Welcome.
Hi, good afternoon.
How are you doing today?
I'm well, how are you?
Good. Excited about this. So we are gonna wait a few more minutes.
Okay.
Get started, and then we have Amy who's connecting right now. Hi, Amy. I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name properly. Where are you based, Matthew?
I'm tuning in from the Hunter College 10th floor geography department.
Nice. Looks pretty empty.
Yeah, there's one other student in here, but COVID kind of emptied it out.
Yeah, we know about that. I'm an associate professor at Lehman.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we also have a program on another master's program in GIS.
Okay. What do you teach?
I teach remote sensing and GIS and spatial analysis.
Okay.
And also the internship seminar, and I co-direct the internship program of our master's program. So I mean, that's in part why I'm so interested in this event and help organize it.
Okay.
Hi, Diego is one of our students here. Just putting you on the spot, Diego, since we are talking about Lehman, the Lehman program. So yes. So okay. Well, yeah, we have more people registered, but I guess as it usually happens, as particularly now at the end of the semester, it's really busy. Huh? I know the feeling. So let's wait a little bit more. Matthew, when are you graduating? Are you graduating this semester?
Yes, graduating this semester.
Wonderful. Good for you.
Thank you.
You as well, right, Diego?
If I submit my research paper.
Yeah, there you go. I'm gonna say that. I'm like, okay. Yeah. So any plans, Matthew, to do after you finish? I suppose you are looking for jobs already.
Yeah, I've started looking for work. I would love to get some experience in the private sector. I am doing a little bit of work with my advisor, Dr. Ahern, Sean Ahern at CARC here.
Yep.
We're doing some work with the proposal to the Department of Energy to possibly create a digital twin for New York City for some modeling and analysis. So that'll keep me busy, I think, for about a month, and then need to find the next steps after that.
Yes, yeah, that sounds really interesting. But now, a twin for New York City, that's a hard one,
Yeah, very complex. So I don't know. Well, it's very interesting though. We've got some great professors on the team from Cornell, NYU, the New School, Hunter College. So it's an inspiring team.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm certain. Yeah, I guess, team from the point of view of energy usage, right?
This one, they're particularly interested in climate change adaptation and how to sort of model some of the impacts of that, particularly any kind of, if you do any kind of mitigation or adaptation in communities that are traditionally underserved. How do you monitor that? Can you kind of monitor that success or measure that impact?
Right.
So it's an interesting problem, but I think the digital twin is a pretty cutting edge technology to try to look at it for some city as complex as New York.
Yeah. Super interesting. Well, I'm looking forward to learn more about it. I'm sure they will come up with something interesting. So let's go. Great. So we have Jim Hall here. Hello. And we are waiting for a couple of more people.
Good afternoon. Yes, Jim Hall. I just was muted.
Yeah, nice meeting you. Nice seeing you.
Yes, thank you. I just want to shoot a message to Jen, letting her know that I used the link that Elia just sent. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, she is reconnecting now. Something happened with her laptop. So that's what we are waiting for here. So Diego, you want to comment on any of your grandiose plans after graduation? I know right now you're focused on finishing, but
Yeah, I mean, kind of like Matthew, it's either trying to go into the private sector for a little bit or with a government agency. I've been looking for the Office of Climate Resiliency, or the former Office of Climate Resiliency. More just to try to get into the field of hydrology and water science, since they deal a lot with water, sewers, and stuff. But currently, I'm just trying to focus on finishing my soil erosion report and the report for the internship seminar. And then after that, I'll focus on job search.
yeah, so that's what we are here today. So Jim, we're gonna have the panel after we get started, but since we are waiting for Jean to join us, would you like to say a little bit where you are and yeah, just a little bit about yourself, just informally while we are chatting here?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jim Hall. I'm with a mid-sized consulting company in Midtown. We are an Esri business partner, but we implement a lot of technologies. I've known Jin Wen for over 20 years and Al and Wendy for about the same. So I've been doing GIS in the New York City area since, I guess, the late 1990s. Obviously, you know, you folks you're at a launching point in your careers. It's exciting. I remember those days. I was happy to get any job in the field. I remember I sent out 50 resumes and got 3 responses. It's a little different these days, I know. Everything's through Indeed and Monster and things like that. But, you know, like you were just talking about digital twins, there's a lot of really pending exciting technology going on. Big data is really becoming an issue. Integration with social media. There's so many things that are going on. We're now seeing data is just flooding in. We're working with vehicle data, connected vehicle data for our customers. Over 4 billion points a day are captured in the US that show vehicles moving. So that data can all be analyzed. We're seeing use cases where you can spot accident occurrence in real time because the data is so dense and so accurate. You can see where potholes need to be repaired because vehicles move, you know, 18 inches, 2 feet either side to avoid the pothole. And if you see that enough, the algorithm says there's something you got to deal with there. So there's all kinds of exciting new use cases and uses of the technology. You guys are really fortunate. You're going to see a lot of change in your careers. Hopefully you can, you know, get a ride on that dragon and ride it, be there as these things evolve.
Yeah, I think it's just like, it's so amazing how this field is evolving and evolving like so fast, like from the time we started and now, and I think it's just going faster and faster, all the new developments and with data, and it's really fascinating, I think, particularly now to join. I mean, and I know, like,
yeah.
Even as a student, you've been working for a while, for years on this, but yeah.
And we used to spend so much of our time and energy on really 2 things. One, putting the systems infrastructure in place. So you had servers and processing power and storage. And the second thing was in data generation, data capture. And they were both expensive and time consuming. And now both are becoming really a non-issue, where basically cloud hosting is very cheap. It's a commodity. It's getting cheaper every day. And data is just, people are just being overwhelmed by good quality data that's available for low or no cost. So now really the people on this call, you can worry in your careers less about infrastructure and data and more on analysis and use cases and actually using things to solve problems. It's very exciting. I see Jen just joined us. Good afternoon.
Yes, she is.
We were just doing some introductions.
Yeah, I didn't introduce myself to everyone, actually, because so since we are started in a more kind of unstructured way, which I think is pretty cool. I'm Elia Machado. I'm an associate professor at Lehman College, CUNY, and my areas of expertise are remote sensing and GIS analysis, mostly applied to vulnerability analysis, climate change, and natural hazards. So that's part of the work that I do. And I'm also the co-director of the internship program of our Masters in GIS, and I teach the internship seminar. So that's part of my interest on workshops such as this one, really on you know, helping students with the resumes and land the job of the dreams. Yeah. So I think we can get started, Jean. What do you think? Yes?
I think so.
Yeah.
So, sorry, my apparently Chrome crashed. Oh, is it on my plate right now? So sorry. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, great. Well, welcome everyone. From seasoned to young professionals in the GIS realm. Welcome to our first of a series of, I love that name, Elia, Get That Job series for our GIS professionals. So my name is Jin Wen. I am the new-ish president of GISMO, and delighted to see so many friends and members here today. So I just wanted to do a quick introduction to our other initiatives. So I hope you guys are all members and will continue to follow us. And so GISMO in 2022 have launched 3 pillars of activities and program, and I'm calling it a TLC, T for technology. And yesterday we actually have one of our first technology-based or methodology program. Dara, who's on the call right now, also a panelist. We started the tips and tricks program. Talks about different ways data is used in New York City and how to really use it. And then the L is for the leadership and laying path for young professionals, which is this fantastic program. Thank you, Elia, Amy, and Camille, who are spearheading this program, and Elia for monitoring, being the moderator for this. And then the C will be, the C is coming up in a month, next month actually, for continuing communication with our city agencies and also expanding to our state and federal level. So and the first one we'll have is App Fair. So where a number of city agencies will come on and share their tips and tricks and what they're up to. So that's in June. So be on the lookout and just go and check out gizmonyc.org. With that, I turn this over to Elia. Thank you.
Thank you. I welcome everyone to this event. This is the first event, as Jin Wen mentioned, on our job fair career services and series. And today what we're going to do is to help you jumpstart your career, focusing mostly on resumes and job interview preparation. We are going to start with a great panel, including Piali Kundu and Jim Hall, who are going to discuss their career trajectory and provide some of their best tips to secure a job. And I am sure a lot of very useful information of what they learned. along the way. And then participants will have the opportunity to discuss their resumes and have an interview on a one-to-one basis with the GIS professionals. And we will do that in breakout rooms. So I'm going to start now introducing the two panelists for today. That's going to be a brief panel, about 15 to 20 minutes. And then we are going to proceed to the breakout rooms. Okay, so our first panelist today is Piyali Kundu from Esri. And she has over a decade of GIS professional experience building and deploying geospatial location-based web and mobile solutions and conducting advanced spatial analysis workflows. Before her current position at Esri, she was a solution engineering supporting New York City Metro government agencies in learning, architecture, and implementing enterprise GIS solutions, such as COVID-19 relief efforts and other citywide emergency workflows. And prior to that, she works at Conservation International as a carbon fund coordinator. And in that role, she applied GIS for landscape sustainability research and RED project monitoring. I don't know how many of you know what RED is, but it's very interesting. And Piyali is a proud graduate of the University of Maryland master's program studies in geographic information sciences and holds also a bachelor's degree in science in environmental science and policy. So welcome and thank you, Piyali, for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. Sorry.
Yeah. Our second panelist today is Jim Hall, which we have the pleasure of chatting with before. Jim is a geographer and he has over 30 years of professional experience using GIS. He started as a photogrammetric surveyor in the Mid-Atlantic states and has since been a stereo compiler, programmer, system administration, data modeler, business analyst, solution architect, and manager. I guess you do many more things. It's a long list. Nice. Jim doesn't just put a pin on the map, he's the pin. He has actually worked in over 20 states and 50 countries, including Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and the United Arab Emirates, and the Sultanate of Oman. This is really impressive. Currently, he is the vice president at Stellar Services, a mid-sized technology consulting firm based in Midtown. His team supports the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, and New York City TA and DoIT. He has a geography degree from Virginia Tech, and he is a certified Scrum Master and a certified geographic information system professional. So thank you very much, Jim, to joining us today. And we are looking forward for your tips and little secrets from your experience in GIS. So we're gonna get started with Piyali, and then Jim, or if you feel, Jim, that you would like to comment along the way, I think that will make things more dynamic. So go ahead, Piyali.
Sure. Yeah. So as Elia pointed out, I have a background, academic background in environmental science as well as GIS. I actually discovered GIS right at the end of my first senior year, my fourth year in undergrad. It was like an optional class that I took, and I was like, I cannot believe that this is optional right now. Granted, it was a while ago, but decided to stick around, do a minor, and then eventually did a master's. And I'm also halfway through another bachelor's in web development and design as well. And then went on to do a little bit of environmental consulting, realized I didn't like it, and then ended up getting an internship and then a full-time position at Conservation International, where I helped develop the kind of framework for monitoring landscape sustainability, as well as doing the GIS work to validate RED+ projects. So seeing, how much deforestation there was, how much carbon emissions there was, how much landscape was preserved over years, as big part of Red Plus monitoring. From there, I knew I had to move to New York City to be with my fiance. And so I ended up applying for a job at Esri as a solution engineer and got it. So a solution engineer position is very client facing, very dynamic, very high pressure sort of a environment where you're working with a lot of different problems, especially in city government, especially in a big city like New York City, and the New York metro region, which is incredibly complex. And essentially my role was to work with clients to teach them about new technology patterns, help understand what their problems and challenges were, what sort of projects they're working on, how GIS could be used to implement those projects and to sustain them moving forward, and then also be able to actually do implementations. So actually like building the solutions for certain city government projects, including everything from election monitoring to COVID-19 relief efforts. We were very much trying to support the city government at that time. And then from there, once things sort of settled down a little bit, because things don't settle down here too much, but realized that, you know, I kind of was thinking about my own future, professional development future, and what I really like, what I don't like, what I've learned from this SE role. And late last year ended up transitioning into what we call product engineer role. So this is more on the product development side. And I work specifically for the ArcGIS Field Maps team. So ArcGIS Field Maps is Esri's native iOS and Android mobile application, cross-platform mobile application. And I am a product engineer on there to kind of be able to learn more about, first of all, mobile development, and then second of all, UI design, web design, and kind of finish out sort of the trajectory that I would like to go in for the rest of my professional development. So I'd say that some tips that I learned along the way was, first of all, that no experience is bad experience. It is almost humorous how many different kind of circular journeys I've gone through with different professional experiences. For example, I never thought that I was going to be in a client-facing business development role where I'm trying to get government agencies to spend money on software. And then, you know, when I was actually in University of Maryland in my sophomore year there, I was doing a student job of basically, you know, the call center for calling people and getting them to donate. So it was really funny how some of that really soft skill of just talking to people and getting them to understand the value of what they're contributing to and to build trust and relationships with an entity helped carry over into the solution engineering job, as, you know, strange as that would seem. The other thing that I noticed and really realized along the way is that have a portfolio that is easily accessible and nice to look at online, and fill it up with diverse content. Like anything that I was working on, I would try to actually push into my online portfolio, and it ends up helping in the end to show how many different diverse skills you have. And then the last thing, and this is a little bit obvious, but kind of going along with that professional development is, and portfolio building is just, you know, taking lots and lots of side classes and training classes along the way. Esri, as well as many other software companies, have tons of free learning resources. Take those, work through those, have the, you know, final product, and put that as part of your portfolio. Nothing is off the table when it comes to that. And make sure that your resume is something that is telling a story and is really selling the relevant experience for what you're the position that you're trying to get. I did spend a little bit of time on the hiring side as well. I didn't hire necessarily, but I was evaluating resumes and applications. And I can tell you, like, for me, a resume and a cover letter that was really tailored to the position that one was applying to, as opposed to being that, like, you know, kind of template approach from career, you know, that kind of comes in like your career packets at universities. A tailored cover letter and resume for the position really stands out so much more than just the generic kind of blurbs that, you know, you send to a bunch of different places all at once and stuff. And sometimes the spray and pray approach can work and get your foot in the door, but it is worth it to have that kind of tailored experience. And also really make sure that when you are applying to jobs, make sure that you are following the same keywords that are in the job application, and making sure that those are also in your cover letter, your resume, because honestly, there is so much that is dictated by automated systems now, especially for huge companies, that if you don't have that, you could have the best application ever, and it's just not going to get picked up. And then, of course, attending things like job fairs and just submitting your application for positions, even if you don't think you're going to get it, you have no idea. There's so many recruiting agencies that are just building up repositories of applications. And, you know, if you don't get the job the first time, they will keep you in mind and they will reach out, you know, as long as you are also kind of reaching back to them. It's really like a back and forth. It's not just like a one-off interaction. So make sure you get your applications in, and you know, keep following up on things, because recruiters, HR departments, they see that, they appreciate it, they see your interest. So, you know, nothing is off the table. And I don't know if now is a good time to do it, but I do have some resources and sites that I can share with you to just kind of help you out. See, somebody is in the waiting room, so I'll let them in. Let me just really quickly share my screen. I know how to do this. Yeah. So first of all, for Esri, if you're interested in a position at Esri or doing an internship at Esri, Esri has a student program site. Normally on any given year, they will have about 200 interns at any time. That could be about 180 summer interns, as well as about 10 to 20 interns that are more long-term for the fall and spring semester. These are paid internships as well. So 40 hours a week, 8 hours a day. And then they have tons of different little activities and programs going on as you're doing that internship. Typically, the current season of internships is now ended for this year, but you can start applying in Labor Day of this year for internships in summer of 2023, and interviews would start in about October, November-ish or so. And then also just generally, internships can lead to long-term careers at Esri, or full-time careers at Esri, and Esri has about 5,200 employees globally right now. So this is just a site you can check out all the student programs, the recruiting events. And then I do also have a PDF that will be sent out. This is kind of a recruitment guide. So it has a breakdown of all the different relevant skills, the different groups and departments and positions that are in those departments. You can get an idea of what is available. And then it's worth it to note that there is a New York City office, or growing. There's more people getting hired there. So this NYC office site, I will post a shortened URL to it in the chat here. But this is actually a site that I set up as an SE to help promote New York City, not just the New York City office, which if you go to the About section, you can read about, you can see, who's getting hired and who's a part of the office already and what sort of positions are supported. That's me, yay. But also get an idea of events that are being hosted here virtually or in person, eventually when that opens up again, as well as an area for the community. technology. So we have a whole gallery of different technologies and solutions that were built on Esri technology. So you can see what other people have built that's New York City related as well. And we also put out a quarterly newsletter of all sorts of updates of new news of what, you know, different entities in New York City have accomplished using Esri and ArcGIS. So you can see how people are using the technology. So I'm going to stop because I think I went over time, but yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you so much. I posted some of the link in your chat. I realized I misspelled your name, so I apologize in advance. Yeah, and we will circulate that PDF as well. I'm gonna place it on the chat, and we will send it as an email, as a follow-up email. So Jim, we're looking forward to hearing from you.
Okay, thanks. I'm not sure exactly what the format is, but I'm trying to emulate what Piali just did. I thought she did a really good job. I'll just pick up on that. Everything she said, I was nodding my head. We experienced the same thing here in consulting. She's on the software side and does some consulting. We're on the consulting side and we do some software. So I work a lot with her colleagues and occasionally with her. We tackle some of the same solutions and problems together. So quickly, my company, we're not GIS centric like Esri is. We are really IT centric. So most of our solutions don't have a geospatial component. We're a Microsoft Gold business partner. We're IBM. We're Oracle Platinum level. We are partners with Cisco and Dell and 20 other companies. Esri is one of our business partners, and I work on most of the projects that involve Esri. We feel like we're pretty close to Esri in the city. And so really the only technology we use in the GIS space is Esri. I've dabbled in some open source and some other third-party products, but really it all comes back to Esri because those other platforms, they're useful in universities because they're often free or low charge. But when you get out in the working world, you've got to have 24/7 support available. You've got to have something that can scale, that's high performance, that there's both online and live support for it. So Esri is really, really good at that. So our company, we do custom applications and solutions. Our biggest customers are the MTA and the Port Authority, but we work with a little bit of everybody. We're teamed with Esri on implementing a large project for New York City Do It right now. We worked together on putting out the COVID application last year, the vaccine finder. That was a product that was co-generated by Esri and Stellar working together. So we did a lot of the ETLs. Esri brought in some expertise, some really great expertise on the ADA compliance, high performance architecture. And they did a lot of the front end work while we did the back end. And it was a really good team, worked very well. We're working for a myriad of other customers. I just got off a call with New York City Parks. We're helping them tune an application right now. We work with state and local government mainly. Just finished a job with the state of California where we built a web app and a back end for fishermen. So if you want to know the fishing regulations for either freshwater or salt, you're going to be using a Stellar product and Esri technology. We have long-term customers. I've worked with the College Board doing all their thematic mapping for about the last 20 years. We work for a hedge fund that we're not allowed to say their name. We're under NDA for that. We occasionally run across that and have to respect that. But to build on what Piali said, I found when I was young, I would take any opportunity that was given me. And I worked at a photogrammetric company, which there's still a few around. In this area, there's GeoMaps out on Long Island. But I worked for what became Quantum Spatial. And I originally was hired on as a GIS technician, but they said, we don't really do GIS, so would you mind going out in the field and doing surveying? And so I said, sure, why not? And so I went out and I learned survey, and I spent probably a year and a half with the surveyors, and I learned how to run levels, how to close loops, and I can talk to a surveyor now. I know accuracy, and I know also when to put them in their box because they get crazy with their accuracy stuff. But I've been in their world and I get it. I've been a stereo plotter operator, so I know how photogrammetry is done. I've been a systems admin, so I can talk all that talk. I've been a developer. I never refused an opportunity. At that company, occasionally they need help in the photo lab. So I just roll my sleeves up and go back in the back and generate huge ortho photos. The ones you see like in conference rooms that they hang on walls. We would be running those through the fixer and the developer by hand and getting all covered in chemicals. But because I did that and I volunteered to do that, I know the photography process, and I can talk to anybody in photography. So don't refuse opportunities, even though you may not think they're on your core track, but it makes you more versatile. And I think also too, when you're young, if you can develop a deep skill in an area, like I was really good with certain aspects of data and application development, and I could talk to anybody about them. And that's carried through. Now I can be talking to CIOs and chief executives. Like I'm working directly with the CIO for a transit agency in the state of New York, and we're charting his IT direction, his technology direction. And I can shoot from the hip largely because I've been exposed. I've ran a network, I've done web development. I know security enough to know what you have to have in place, and I can pull in people. You don't have to be an expert in everything. But if you can just be versatile, I think that's really going to help you over the course of your career. And as you grow older, Jen, who's on the call, and I've talked about this before, after a while, you become a jack of all trades. And really what you become is a problem solver. And it seems like all the problems end up on my desk. And that's just because you're old, but also you've been exposed to a lot of stuff. So you know how there's a plan A, a plan B, a plan C. Oh, we're doing C today. So look for experience, look for challenges. You'll become more versatile and more, I think, happy in what you do if you seek that stuff out. Some quick things: learn to be, if you aren't already, become a good communicator, and that's both in verbal and written. Communication, it's also being able to translate the complex into the simple for an executive, and then vice versa. Take the executive speak and understand what their true technical requirements that they may not be able to articulate in detail, but you can understand what they're getting at and provide a product. I remember after COVID hit in March in 2020, we were talking to the chief engineer at the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, and he said, I need to bring my people back in the building, and I know GIS does that. I don't want to know the details. I don't want to meet too often about this, but just come back with a solution. And so we did. We created a custom solution from scratch, and they now use it every day for scheduling their people to come in and out. It's called Return to Office, and it's a custom application. It's available on a phone, and it's all on the Esri technology stack running in Azure in the cloud. That's actually the real thrilling times when you get an opportunity like that from a senior executive, and you have their support and you can get things done. And I think that's one thing too you're going to learn, if you haven't learned already, is you need to have a network of peers, of people that you're working for and work for you, and never turn down a chance to meet someone. Like in Outlook, I think right now my contacts in Outlook are up to, I think, 2,700. And I add, 2 or 3 a day as I encounter people. I just met another company president today, about 11, and we're going to try to help them with 3 people they need to put into a customer agency. So I never refuse an opportunity. Keep meeting people, keep their contact information. Don't let it disappear. I carry that company. I've been in the industry about 30 years. I'm in my 4th company right now, and I've kept those contacts over the years. I still call back and visit the first company I worked for because they're really good at photogrammetry. And if I hit a photogrammetric issue, I can call them and they'll give me answers. And that's because I've kept in touch. So keep in touch with people. People want to stay in touch with you. I think you'll find too. Don't feel like you have to be shy or bashful or you've moved on. Keep good relationships. There's never a need. I've never found a need to burn a bridge. Just keep everybody in, keep their information. One other thing too, be a self-starter. We have a lot of work on this end that is sitting around waiting for somebody to tackle. And they're employees that don't know how to stand up and take it on. And don't be scared. I mean, none of us have all the answers. I learn every day. And so just take on the things that need to be done. And the staff that we have that are self-starters, really what that means is you see or even smell an assignment that could help the company and you delve into it. And no manager at our company would ever keep you from delving into something that needs to be solved. So don't be shy there. Other things real quick. The only job I've ever applied for was my first one. And after that, every job I've ever gotten was somebody saying, hey, Jim, I've worked with you for years. Why don't you come and work with us? And so your network becomes your source eventually of all your opportunities. And whether it's just a single assignment or a change from one company to another, those opportunities, you want them, if you build your network, they'll be there for you. So I think that's kind of a good summary of where I'm going. I saw Piali nodding her head a lot. I was nodding my head during hers. And I'm sure the third speaker, whether it's Jen or Wendy or some of these other people I've worked with in the past, they'll all be just building on what we've said so far. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much, both of you, for all of this extraordinary and great advice. It's been great to hear and to learn about your experiences. I agree with many of those as well. I do have, and I think we have maybe time for just a quick follow-up questions, because I think that you mentioned so many great things that are of interest to the participants here. So Jim, you stressed the importance of networking and keeping your contacts. Could you tell us just maybe quickly a little bit of how you build your network and some tips on that? Particularly like stay in touch, after a while, do you send like a holiday card, or how do you, when you have kind of lost touch with people, how do you keep those contacts alive?
Yeah, it's most people actually remember you, whether you realize it or not. And I've never reached out to somebody that I haven't talked to for a year or two or three or more, and they haven't responded positively. I can't remember anybody. I had somebody, I ended up doing some presentations after September 11th, and I was able to do some presentations with somebody in Australia about the content back in 2001. He reached out to me after not talking for 20 years this summer, and asked if I could do a presentation virtually at a conference in Australia. And yeah, we worked on it remotely like this for 8 or 10 sessions in the evening, and we co-presented. And Steve, good guy. I've welcomed the reach out from him. I'm going to reach out to him with some things coming up. He's really doing some exciting things. He actually runs the GIS program for the state of Queensland in Australia, and they're hosting the Olympics in 2032. So they're doing a lot of infrastructure. They are doing digital twin for real. It's not talk there. They're doing a lot of public safety emergency planning for the city of Brisbane and beyond, because they're going to have a lot of visitors. They're going to have to secure all those athletes. Talking to him is fascinating, and they're truly integrating them. They're integrating a lot of the things that others are just talking about. And that's the beautiful thing of having a network, is occasionally you run across, you get a reach out from somebody like Steve, and you get to catch up. And I hope, we talked about some of what we could help him with too, and I hope that he pulls us in for some of that work. But how do you keep in touch? Never be afraid to reestablish a relationship. Yeah, I've got 2,700 people in my Rolodex. I don't talk to them all every day, but I probably in a given year, I speak to a couple hundred, and it's all good. People want to work with you.
Excellent, thank you. Do you have any comments on that, Piali?
I'll just add, there's no excuse. LinkedIn is a thing now. We've made keeping in contact and growing your network and reaching out to people so easy now. So even if it's I'm really bad about this, because I hate social media. Actually, I was very happy to get off of Twitter and Facebook and all of that stuff. But LinkedIn, if you can, just people's thing, congratulate them. I keep tabs on people who actually looked at my status changed on LinkedIn, which I thought was really small, and congratulated me for that and took notice of it. So use those sorts of tools and even just do like little things, and you'll be really surprised by how many people, if you reach out to them on LinkedIn, if you find somebody who has like your dream job and dream experience, reach out to them and say like, hey, can I have a 15-minute chat with you, like a lunch chat or coffee chat or something like that, and just learn more about your experience. And you'd be surprised how many people are fine with it. I'm really fine with doing that. So, and I've done it for a lot of people, and some of those people, actually one of those people got hired as a solution engineer. So in my role in New York City, another person was an internal colleague, has now transferred and is now a solution engineer in New York City and is moving here. So.
Excellent. Yeah, great tips there. Thank you. Anyone has a quick question before we go into the breakout rooms? None. Well, we have the opportunity to talk again at the end of the event when we are done with the breakout rooms. So, okay, we have let me see. The people who are going to be reviewing the resumes, and thank you to all of you who send your resumes in advance. Now, the focus of the resume review and interview, of course, is to review your resumes. However, not everybody who is here has sent their resumes in advance. I am wondering if all of you are interested in doing the review or not. So I'm basically speaking here to Fanny, Colleen, and Ian. If you are here, say in the chat if you want to be part of the breakout room conversation or not. Otherwise, I will just assign the people for whom we have the resumes already to the breakout rooms. And before we start that, I want to thank the reviewers that we have for today. It is our panelists, James and Piali, but Wendy Dorf is here as well. And thank you so much for doing this, and Dara. So would you please say a few words about yourself and introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Wendy Dorf. I've been involved really with GIS from the beginning. I mean, I don't have half the technical skills that you guys do in terms of hands-on, but I've been a project manager for the implementation of the whole water main system, which was sort of like just thrown at me as I was working in the Department of Environmental Protection in the mid-'80s, and probably was the first of its scope ever anywhere, and it took a long time. And I see my buddy Jim there talking about how we keep relationships. I haven't seen him forever, but all these people, this is a wonderful community. I mean, you guys are really, you can't even imagine what's ahead of you. People actually doing your kind of work are totally amazing. And here and there, some of us try very much to be as informed and helpful as they will be through your whole career. So I've had a very interesting career. In a million years, I didn't really think I'd be doing what I'm doing. I basically was a political science major, not at all involved in technology. I started to work in the city council when my kids were very young, and I learned a lot about government. And I actually was doing some financial stuff at the Department of Environmental Protection, was dragged in, and I was handed this job to digitize the water supply, which I think was given to me because everybody was afraid, where do we begin? I mean, there were hundreds of thousands of maps and papers and cards, and it took a long time. But it was much more significant than I ever thought it would be. It really dragged me into this. I'm still doing a whole lot of stuff. Along the way, the sewer people in the agency wanted to do the same thing, and I started working together with my colleague Alan, who may or may not be able to join us today, who is sort of the IT director in DEP. And together, we somehow finagled to accomplish developing the base map, which really ties together just about everything that's happening in New York City. And little did we know how useful mapping would be, because Alan was sort of running the whole mapping division, and Jim was there. I mean, Jim is famous from running away from the World Trade Center. His picture will never be forgotten that day. And so we all kind of worked together. The mapping unit turned out to be, probably it was that really brought mapping into the public sphere, because we needed those maps to enable the first responders to maneuver the pile. And guess what? The data was in all kinds of formats, so we didn't hardly know where to begin. And because we have such an incredible community, Jack Eichenbaum, who is then the president of GISMO, sent out the alarm, and we had months and months of 24/7 mapping going on to help the first responders. I was in charge of mapping the underground, getting the data together, which was very significant because there were fires and everything. I mean, I could give you a separate story of that. But what we learned was nothing mixed and matched, nothing was integrated, data was all over the place. And then after 9/11, there was fear, that it would fall into the wrong hands, and also was used as an excuse not to actually do the work to map, integrate, and standardize. So basically my mantra since then, which has been a long, long time, as either a consultant or even pro bono, any which way but loose, I tried with Alan all these years to finally get a voice that would support. And so we started working with OGC, and we worked with all the city agencies, and we got all the information in the world, and then everything stopped. And then I basically felt I was done, because we did everything. And then NYU called us because they said they got a grant from the National Science Foundation. And
Wendy,
yeah.
I'm so sorry. I think we're waiting to go into the breakout room.
Okay. Anyway, long story short, we're now working on integrating the infrastructure, and it takes tenacity, but the community is great, and the people you'll be working with, you'll never be sorry. That's it. Sorry, Jen.
No, you have a rich history, and I can't thank you enough. Because of people like you and Al, I have a career. We'll talk about that another time. But before we go, Dara, do you want to spend a minute? So sorry, just introduce yourself a bit before Elia break into the breakout room. I think we have one round, Elia. Thank you, Wendy.
Okay.
Hi, everybody. I am super quick talker. If you're in a breakout room with me, you'll learn more about me later. I feel like a veteran because I've been doing this for 20 years, but obviously I have a long way to go. And I love the community that we have here at GISMO, because we have, senior to junior to beginners, and we all come together and figure out these problems together. So keep learning, be proud of your path. And I think I resonate with everything that you guys said.
Wonderful. Thank you, Dara. Okay, so we have 3 people for the breakout rooms. I'm going to open them now. And when I think you know the process by now, right, there's going to be a little pop-up in the Zoom window that will ask you to join the room. So after that, we will have a countdown clock for 20 minutes, and we will reconvene after those 20 minutes to wrap up. So I hope you enjoy your session. And I'm going to open the rooms right now.
All right, back to you, Elia.
So how was it? I hope it was a productive time and that you enjoyed your session. That is truly a luxury. I mean, I was talking to some of my colleagues about this event, and I truly hope as a student I had this opportunity, because that is rare to be able to discuss your resume in a one-to-one session with people who are so experienced. So that's already very valuable. And yeah, we would like to hear about your experience, your takeaways, just sharing with everyone, and then wrap up this event. So what have you learned? What was the best advice? What are your next steps that you're thinking in doing, either with your resume, or was there an aha moment? We love aha moments. I do, certainly. So anything that you would like to share?
Ellie, I think you should just call out our young emerging professionals. That's what we do.
That's what we do. I try to give them sometimes, give people a little bit of time to think. Also work.
You must be one of those nice professors.
I am.
Yeah, I didn't get that.
I get to the point of calling as well, but I give you different options, and then oh, Dara is saying something, but I don't hear anything. Or
Sorry, I was agreeing with Jen because she's right next to me on my screen. We were like, no, you don't get any free time. Pointing at you guys, students. You students.
let's go there. All right then. Okay, Matthew, tell us a little bit about your experience.
Yeah, Jim and I had a great discussion. He had some really powerful insights how I could sort of make some tweaks to my resume. I guess a couple of aha moments I had were, to include some kind of statement of experience at the top, where I can really kind of give like a really powerful, kind of short explanation of, what I bring to the table, what I'm looking for, which can really kind of like initially give a recruiter or a potential employer kind of some insights into who I am right off the bat, which I thought was really powerful. And then honestly, this was a more creative one, but just using like some conservative colors to on the resume, maybe some navy blues or some maroons to kind of like differentiate sections or whatever, give your resume a little bit of a different look, because most obviously are just in black. So yeah, I really appreciate Jim's time today, and thank you all for your time.
Great. This navy blue, from what I read, really is a great color in terms of conveying elegance, but also, professional, right? I mean, if you take, like, for example, red, I think that's too much, but blue and navy blue, dark blue and navy blue have really that characteristic, which I think is great to use in resumes. All right. So
also, Elia, Matthew and I both graduated from Virginia Tech, and the color there is maroon. So consider maroon, Matt.
All right. Yeah.
No, orange.
That's you.
Queens. That's Queens.
All right. So Diego, what have you learned? What was your aha moment? There was one.
So a couple tweaks that I can make are that I need to be a little more concise, narrow down my my bullet points a bit more, and tailor it more to the specific job that I may be looking for. Again, referencing other resumes and job postings to get keywords to match, simply because as Piali mentioned, there may be various levels to your hiring process. So the first person who sees your resume may not know exactly the experience or the detail needed to the position, but they're looking for key points to move your resume along the interview. And then, unlike Matthew, she liked the classic clean aesthetic that I had in terms of a layout. She said it was easy to read, and if I work on just those things, that it'll be a lot better read.
Thank you. How about you, Rachel?
So I've been I gave I had Wendy and we went through one of my resumes. It was so my background, it's pretty diverse with GIS and then like education, which is funny because I didn't want to go into education. So we kind of went into that. And she definitely highlighted that you don't not talk about like your other experiences. Like I can use my education experience, I can use my time at the high school as a tutor and all of these things and use those, something similar to what Jim had said earlier in this event, and use all of those skills to promote myself and look for different positions. Also because of my experience, definitely she pushed a lot networking and take as many opportunities as possible because you don't know, that one yes could turn into like 5 other things and side projects. So it was definitely helpful 100%. And with that, I thought of a great idea. I think, or if everyone is okay, maybe possibly sharing each other's LinkedIn on the chat so that we have that type of network, because I've never met Matthew. Matthew seems like a nice person. I took classes with Diego. So it's like having, at least starting somewhere would possibly help us in the long run. I don't know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You just find all of us on LinkedIn. Just find, and we'll be like, yes, accept. Absolutely.
That's for sure.
And
yeah.
I think we have a GISMO LinkedIn also, which isn't, we need to reactivate that.
I think so. That's a good idea. That's yes. Thank you. That's awesome. But can Ellie, I'm so sorry. I'm just going to say one thing. Now that you have gotten you got a little bit from us, we like to take a pound from you. So we are going to reach out and ask you guys to join committees. Yes, Matthew, Diego, Rachel's already on. So see, she got stuck on us already. Coming after you, Ian, Matthew, and Diego. I hope that's okay. Thank you for sharing.
All right.
And
Wonderful.
don't forget about Ian.
Yes, with whom we had a very nice chat.
Yes.
All the time.
Ian,
yes.
do you think you can come on camera? I know you're in public, just for a few seconds, just to, so we don't have black box or sound.
Mhm.
Maybe not, but we're still coming after you. That's okay.
Right. So, yeah, I don't know, Jim and Kiali, do you have any closing comments? Sorry, I'm going to mute myself because of the.
I guess I'll just say, like, don't get frustrated. If you don't get the job that you want, I know it's really hard to get rejected from something, but, the first couple of jobs that you get, if you're like me, I had to apply for my jobs. And so, you might not get it. Have a strategy in mind. That's kind of why I said really tailor your job application to the job that you are applying for and keep it short and sweet, at least in the commercial sector, I would argue that. I don't know what the research sector or the city government sector is like, but yeah, keep it short, sweet, and don't forget to sell yourself. Like, I think one of the mistakes one of the things that I was kind of looking at in terms of these resumes, some of the other ones that were in the zip file, was it was really focused on actions, but not results. It was more on what you did, not what you contributed. You want to show how much you have changed and contributed to a place that you have been to. So no one is above sales. Everyone is selling something. You might not be selling software, but you're selling yourself. So make sure that you are doing that. At least I can speak from the commercial sector, the nonprofit sector, kind of those really highly competitive areas.
Definitely, great point.
Can I throw in just something that really was, I didn't know that we're supposed to actually analyze the way the resumes look. I mean, that's not my thing. However, we did have, I think, Rachel, stop me if you don't agree. I think we had a really good conversation in terms of what we've done and where our interests are. And I think it's very critical that in these interviews, we find out exactly what either the students or the job seeker, what they're interested in doing, and try to match it. And I think in her case, we have potential to make a match, which would be really very good. And that's the old-fashioned way is not so bad, because I think many of us, once you're in, you kind of move around from your own, the people that you meet along the way. But I think that's key. We really, they shouldn't be shy. The people looking for jobs should tell us exactly what it is that they really would like to do, so we could at least brainstorm and kind of think about maybe where they could be placed and what the opportunities are. That's it.
Wendy, I totally agree. So I think to Piali's point about the keywords and buzzwords, get yourself in the door with all the jargon. But once you're in the door and you're in a one-to-one interview, be proud of who you are and where you came from, because you're going to be working with these people. You're going to be having lunch with them. You're going to be working on these projects intimately. So you want to make sure that you're both a good fit in all aspects of who you are. So don't forget about that. I don't care about your skills too much at that point. I want to know who you are and are you willing to solve those problems and learn and continue to grow. So don't be scared of who you are.
And I will just add, in the job application process, there's a resume and usually a cover letter section for a reason. So resume often goes through, at least in commercial world, may go through automated systems before it even hits a recruiter. Your cover letter usually will not. So that's really where you can shine, be proud, as Dara mentioned, everyone mentioned, be proud of your accomplishments, your diverse experience, things like that. And then you also have the opportunity to talk about that face-to-face with a recruiter, as well as any follow-up interviews. I have to hop off, but yes, please feel free to hit me up on LinkedIn and everything. I'm sure I'm probably the only Piali can do in New York. So yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us and sharing all your experience and tips. It's been great having you. Thank you.
No problem. Take care and good luck.
Thank you. All right, Jim, any last thoughts?
No, I mean, I just hope all the candidates are excited. They're at a great point in their life. And I guess maybe one thing I'd say is, don't look for a perfect fit right away. Take what you can get. You can always move, but just get something going out there, and you may be surprised. That job that you think, didn't seem overly exciting might be, the love of your life, and you might stay there for a long time. So be open, be flexible, and just enjoy the ride.
Wonderful. Thank you. Well, I would like to have a big round of applause for everybody for participating and for the people who help us here, contributed the time and the experience. And we will follow up with a quick survey about this event. And also remember, we do have another event coming up in June, right? About the app fairs. And so we'll send an email about that. If you would like to be in touch, we already have your email, so we will let you know. If you are not a member of GISMO, please join. It's free for students, so there's nothing to lose, a lot to win. And that's it. Have a great summer and stay in touch. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.